This is Show Up as a Leader, a show from PeopleForward Network, helping you maximize your positive impact on the world by becoming your best, fully authentic self.
Hey everyone, it's Rosie. I am super excited to have KL Shaw, expert salary negotiator and career strategist, launch a new series on the podcast called The Career Bump. In this series, KL offers your ultimate guide to show up as a leader by stepping into your power, getting in the driver's seat, and making moves that matter in your career. She describes it as she is going to be your career roadie. Lots of great stuff in her series. Take a listen.
Welcome to the Career Bump Podcast, the show that puts you in the driver's seat of your career. I'm your host, KL Shaw, a former CHRO turned career coach and salary negotiation expert. For years, I sat on the other side of the table, making hiring decisions, reviewing compensation packages, and watching people either own their worth or leave money on the table. And let me tell you, most people just accepted what was offered, and the ones who negotiated always walked away with more. Here's the truth. The people on the other side are expecting you to negotiate. No one is just handing out raises, promotions, or dream jobs. You have to own it. You have to ask for it. You have to advocate for yourself to drive your career forward. So if you're feeling stuck, waiting for someone to recognize your value, or wondering what's next in your career, this podcast is for you. We'll break down real, actionable strategies, we'll cut through the fluff, and we'll bring in guests who've done it themselves. Because you deserve more. More confidence, more opportunities, and more money. I'm also thrilled to be partnering with Rosie Ward and Show Up as a Leader. And new episodes of the Career Bump podcast will drop every fourth Wednesday of the month. So buckle up. Let's get into it. So if you heard me on Rosie's podcast a few weeks ago, you got a little glimpse into my story. But today, I want to take you a little deeper. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I moved to the U.S. in my early 20s, knowing no one and having no idea where the road would take me. And from that moment on, I said yes to every opportunity without knowing what I was saying yes to. I didn't necessarily know what I was looking for or how I was going to find my way, but I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And I got my start by selling cars. It's actually how I paid for college, and I loved it. I fell in love with the industry, and I translated those sales skills to the corporate side, where I spent the next 20 years thriving in a male-dominated industry. And both of the massive brands that I worked for had identified me as high potential. And so they would throw me into different roles, none of them having something I had experience in. And it was so exciting. I loved it. I loved not knowing. I loved being thrown into stir things up and solve problems and make things better. And the red thread through all of it was always people. So when they threw me into HR, I didn't know how to spell it. And although I shouldn't have been surprised, it was the most inspiring space I had ever entered. I had the ability to create amazing people teams and spaces where employees were at the forefront of everything we did. And I was able to help thousands of people unlock their potential. But the other red thread was I did not know how to negotiate. I didn't truly own my value. And honestly, I didn't even realize I should be thinking about those things. I said yes because I wanted to learn, grow, and I felt like I always needed to prove myself before I could even think about asking for the money. And for a really long time, I assumed good work alone would open doors. That if I just worked hard enough, the people would notice, the right people would notice, and the promotions and the raises and the recognition, it would all follow. But here's what I learned the hard way. being a passenger in your career does not get you where you want to go. And while I wasn't exactly asleep at the wheel, I was moving forward, growing every day. In fact, I made it all the way to the C-suite, but I don't think I was driving strategically. And when it came to negotiating compensation, I know I was leaving money on the table for decades because I believe the lies that so many of us are told. If you do great work, the money will come. Your boss, he or she will take care of you. My favorite, women are terrible negotiators. Or if you ask for more, you'll look greedy. And worst of all, I believed that negotiating meant or would be reflective that I was putting money before the work or the opportunity. But here's the truth. No one is going to advocate for you. You have to do it yourself. And that's why I'm here. I took notes from the people who did it well, the ones who walked away with better offers, stronger positions, more control over their career. And now I'm sharing those strategies with you because you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. You can own your worth. You can ask for what you deserve, and you most certainly can take the wheel starting today. So let me share a couple of other key career highlights that I think are important. Two really key themes that showed up over and over again throughout my 30-year run in corporate, and that is curiosity and network. Being curious was the reason why so many opportunities were presented, and almost every one of those opportunities came through my network. I was hungry to learn and grow and meet new people. I wanted to learn about their career journey. I would see someone presenting at an event or at a meeting, and I would say, wow, this really struck me in your presentation. I wonder if you ever want to meet for coffee and talk more. I'd love to know how you navigated your career. I put myself out there over and over again, and I'm certain it was a huge reason for the opportunities that came my way. I also assume I did good work and people recognized my work, but building my network and asking for them to share their life and their story was putting myself out there in a way that many people did not. So saying yes, it was empowering. It was exciting. And maybe looking back, it might have been a little bit odd not to worry about trying something new that I didn't know, but I just led with curiosity and I tried to build relationships really quickly, ask really critical questions. And while I didn't get this right away, I learned that I didn't have to be the smartest person in the room. This one took time, let me tell you. And let's talk a little bit more about how I learned the power of negotiation. So for the last decade of my corporate career, as I said, I was an HR leader. I watched a lot of people interview and negotiate badly. But for those that did it well, I took notes. And when I left an amazing 12-year career at one of the most prestigious brands in the world, I had absolutely no idea how much I had left on the table because I left that company and I doubled my package and negotiated a huge sign-on bonus. And I was on the floor, partly because of excitement and the other part, utter frustration about what I had left on the table all these years. So I became a professional coach in 2015, and I did that because I thought this would help me be the best HR leader that I could be. I never imagined that I would use this as a foundation for my business. Never imagined owning a business, never imagined being an entrepreneur, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs would say. I thought this was a fun thing to add to my toolkit that I could perhaps do as a side hustle, take into retirement with me. But over that decade that I've had my coaching certification, people would come to me with all sorts of career questions. My kid just graduated college. Can you help? I just got laid off. Can you help? I hate my boss. Can you help? I want more from my career. Can you help? I'm jumping into my dream interview, or I just got an incredible offer. Can you help? Or I want to get promoted. All of these things that people came to me over the last decade, I've been doing, not realizing that it was going to turn into the salary bump. So I finally decided to go all in on me, and the salary bump was born. And in addition to my personal story of leaving money on the table, I followed the stats, and less than 50% of people are negotiating, less than 30% of women, and that number is even lower for people of color. And the fact is, when you negotiate, 90% of the time you get more. Maybe the full ask, maybe just a portion. Those are some strong statistics. The average person is leaving between $1 million and $1.5 million over their career by not negotiating, according to Forbes. And I have a mission to do my part to change this. And having sat on both sides of the table, blow the doors off of HR, so you know what HR is thinking. But after a few months of launching the salary bump, I realized that she needed a sister. And the career bump was born. And the career bump expands the salary bump services that I provide, because it's really more about helping people design their roadmap, people who are really stuck, people who just want more and they don't know what that looks like. And then the third sibling is called the exit bump. And the exit bump was also born out of a post that I posted on LinkedIn about a year ago that said, stop quietly quitting and start proactively asking for a package. I recently read an article about revenge quitting, and I did a video about it, and it went off the hinge. People don't realize that they can proactively ask for a package. My last client negotiated a package by raising her hand. She was going to retire, 35-year career at one company, and we got $2.3 million for her. It is absolutely possible. Not to mention, when you are laid off and you are offered a package, you can negotiate that. And even if you weren't offered a package, you can negotiate one. And this is generally a mic drop moment that a lot of people don't realize when I speak about it, but we'll talk more about that throughout the podcast. The truth is, you can't just be good at your job. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to design your roadmap. You have to start steering towards the career and life that you want. So here's a little bit about what you can expect from the show. The podcast isn't just about theory or fluff. I will give you actionable strategies, real stories, and the tools you need to get out of your own way and start building the career you deserve. I'm going to share all of my negotiation strategies, pivot planning, and network building skills. We're going to talk about the messy middle of career growth and setbacks and breakthroughs. And we might even bring a few inspiring guests, leaders, professionals, everyday people who have made bold career moves. My goal is to help you feel empowered to take your next step, whether that's asking for a raise, making a bold career pivot, or finally owning your value. If you knew there was a proven system to help you earn thousands more in your next salary negotiation, would you take it? The Salary Bump Accelerator is that system. I've packed it with everything you need to get out of your head, prepare for the interview like a boss, and negotiate your salary, benefits, and total compensation with confidence. And because you're a loyal listener, I'm giving you 15% off with the code POD15. Go to thesalarybump.com to get started, because your next paycheck should be your best one yet. So let's jump into the actionable strategies that I want to leave you with today. There's 3 of them. Starting with number 1, building your career story and owning your value. If you can't connect with the interviewer, clearly articulating your worth, no one else can do that for you. This is the most critical foundational item that you have to think about. And it really starts by building your talent reel. Many people call this the elevator pitch. I've recoined it because I don't think elevator pitch does it justice. It's your talent reel. It's who you are. It's your personal brand statement. It's the theme, the thread that you're going to tell every single time someone says, hey, tell me about yourself. That's in interviews, that's in networking. And I'm going to give you 3 critical questions for you to answer, none of which, by the way, have to do with your resume. So question number 1, what do you love? I mean love, like light your fire, so passionate about. If you could do this 90% of your day, you would be so happy. Number 2, what are you really great at? Eyes closed, hands tied behind your back. What are you really, really great at, innately great at? And number 3, how are you or do you want to make an impact on the world? I believe if you can do these 3 things, most of your day, you will live a more fulfilled life. And I don't believe that you can have a career that doesn't have anything to do with these things and truly be fulfilled. And I don't believe that a 9 to 5 that you close the door, tick the box, and go home and don't take that with you. I believe we can have so much more out of our career. So I'm going to give you my 3 answers to these questions just to get you started. So if someone were to say, hey, KL, tell me about yourself. Like, well, thanks. So nice to sit here and meet with you today. So I realized over my career that I love helping people unlock their potential. It lights my fire. And I just love seeing people find their confidence, find their way, and things that maybe they didn't see in themselves. And I'm really good at solving complex problems and doing puzzles. I love putting all the pieces together. I love lifting up the hood and seeing what's missing, what spark plugs are not connected. I'm also a car nerd, totally obsessed with cars, and I ride a Harley, but that's a side note. I just love running to the fire. A lot of people run away, and I'm really good at it. I'm really good at bringing people together and helping solve complex problems. And I also have this deep passion and mission that I want to do my part to close the gender and racial pay gap and impact the world in a way that leaves a really important legacy and helps people find their way and helps them find their confidence and helps them also establish financial goals and work towards those. And I'm thrilled to get to know you too. That is how I would describe myself when someone asks me. And it's not going through my resume. It's a little bit personal, but it really is more engaging than just, well, my last job was XYZ. That's not what they want to hear. Also give you an example. I worked with a client recently who really undervalued herself. She assumed that hard work alone would get her ahead. And when it came time for a promotion, she was overlooked because she never positioned herself as the obvious choice. So once we started shifting her mindset, framing her achievements, and preparing for the conversation, she negotiated not only a promotion, but a 40% bump in her package. A huge tip to take away is keep an achievements list. Keep those achievements, write down the ones that had a real business impact and have quantifiable results. Then practice saying them out loud as if you're in an interview or a networking conversation. Confidence comes from clarity and practice. All right, number 2, let's talk about building and leveraging your network. Opportunities do not live on job boards. And the best jobs don't always go to the most qualified. They go to the best positioned. So here's an example of a client of mine who was stuck in the application black hole, applying to dozens of jobs, hearing nothing back, getting incredibly frustrated, discouraged. It wasn't until she started strategically networking, reaching out to all the people in her life that touched her over her career, first-degree connections, secondary connections, and having real conversations and following those conversations up with value, was she able to land her dream job. It was a company that wasn't even hiring at the time. I can't tell you how many times over my career I've created roles for people because of how they showed up, how they shared their talent reel, how they connected with me, and the value that I thought they could bring to the organization in a different role, in a role that we didn't even know we needed yet. So my actionable takeaway for you is every week, reach out to someone in your network. Keep your list. It doesn't matter what stage of career you are. keep a spreadsheet with everyone's email, phone number, and once a week reach out to someone, whether it be an old connection, a new connection, whether it be to share insights, share an article, add value, not to ask for a job, but to reconnect. Because if you don't actually need a job in the moment, that's the perfect time to continue to build and foster this network. It's when you need a job that you reach out to people, and it has a very different connotation. If you only call them when you need something, that's not fostering a beautiful network. And don't forget, one conversation can change everything. I used to send a gratitude message every year on Thanksgiving. That was my way of staying in touch with my network, thanking them for supporting me over my career, over that year, give them an update on what I was doing, what was happening. It was just my way of staying connected. You could also do a birthday list and send them a birthday message, sharing an update, of course, congratulating them on their birthday. And here's my favorite call to action. At the end of every networking conversation, ask, based on what we talked about today, is there anyone in your network that you think I should meet? That simple question opens doors you didn't even know existed, and it's a very non-threatening way to ask for a warm connection. Warm connections, by the way, are the absolute best. So last but not least, number 3, reframe your mindset and rewrite the stories that you tell yourself. The biggest thing that is holding you back is not a lack of experience or skills. It's self-doubt. So I had a client recently who she almost didn't apply for a leadership role because she believed she wasn't ready. Does that sound familiar? After working through her imposter syndrome, she not only got the job, she got a higher salary than she originally planned to ask for. So when fear or doubt creeps in, ask yourself, what is the absolute worst that can happen? And then ask yourself, what is the best possible outcome? And work towards that. A little confidence hack for you. Think back to a time when you took a bold risk and it paid off. Maybe it was in your career. Maybe you asked someone on a date. Maybe it was something else in life. Hold on to that moment and let it remind you that you have done hard things before and you can do them again. So let me tell you a little bit about what's coming next. Next time, we're going to talk about the mindset shift from passenger to driver and why most people let their careers happen to them instead of owning them. The power and clarity, what you really want, breaking free from limiting beliefs and external validation, and actionable steps to shift from reactive to proactive in your career decisions. Thank you so much for joining. And if today's episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And share this episode with someone who's ready to take the wheel in their career. It might just be the spark they need. And remember, the road ahead might not be straight, but it is yours to own. Take the wheel, trust your instincts, and I'll be here as your co-pilot every step of the way. Until next time, don't forget to enjoy the ride.
I'm Rosie Ward, and this is Show Up as a Leader. To learn more, head over to PeopleForwardNetwork.com and, of course, hit that follow button.